And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn one.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, what, 7 laps of Spa-Francorchamps?
Yeah. We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport. Cranston and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As we go back up the hill towards the Schumacher, Nils Kor clips the back at 10, Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Kor. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my god, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction.
Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello everybody, welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to another round of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. We're here for the 6th season of this wonderful championship and we are certainly looking forward to another night's worth of racing here from Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. It's going to be a wonderful night of racing, I am sure. And finally the overlay decides to join us this evening, and it's myself, Chaz Draycott, and Ed May in the commentary box once again. A quick shout out to Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Orris Analytics, by the way, our championship sponsors. Ed, we've commentated a lot of times here at Spa, but it's always been longer races here, hasn't it, mate? So this time round, having 2 sprint races tonight, 20 minutes and 30 minutes, it's going to be a different kettle of fish to what we're used to.
Yeah, I remember us actually mentioning, wasn't it, at the opening round at Road Atlanta that we would be going to Spa, but a slight shake-up from what the drivers are used to. It would be those 2 sprint races, and from then on it has been, I think, a real highlight in the calendar for the drivers to look forward and see exactly what they'll make of the racing here tonight. Obviously, the 2 sprint races means that there is going to be a shake-up to the qualifying format than what we saw last week as well, won't we, Traz, with the drivers basically not having a huge amount of time to set laps because it's a long lap around here. You won't have time to finish it once you're started.
No, absolutely. Qualifying is going to be oh so important around this place, especially when the championship is this close. Taylor Adams has 66 points to his name, Lewis Ward has 65, and then it's Jake Cranstone on 57, Arthur Thurtle on 53, Callum Brandt on 49. RD Simsport lead the teams championship ahead of Team 11 and Regenta Sim Racing, so it's a number of the same drivers and competitors all together. But look at 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th in the team standings there, Ed. Team 11, Regenta Sim Racing, Altitude, 3M Esports and Satellite Racing only separated by 5 points, and considering they nearly have 100 each, that just goes to show how close all of this is, doesn't it?
Really does. It's such an impressive championship already. I mean, the top 2 separated by just a single point between Taylor Adams and Lewis Ward. Again, 2 drivers this season yet to score a race victory. Are they maybe going to score their first of the season here in the 2 races at Spa? We'll have to find out. But also, consistency from Jake Cranstone has seen him go pretty well, hasn't he, Chaz? Currently just around about, what, is that 9 points off of Taylor Adams? We've got, just trying to work out mathematically now, there's 10 races in the whole season, so 5 races to go. We're basically at the halfway point now.
Yes.
It's still wide open.
It really is, and one of the main things to think about as well is the fact that these sprint race nights don't give out points as openly as the endurance rounds of the championship. So you get points in the endurance 1-hour races as long as you're in the top 20. Here tonight, it's only the top 12. It's really savage, and it has been something the drivers have commented on, I must say. The drivers have shown their displeasure with that, but it's one of those things where if we change that halfway through a season, it will change things beyond a way that we could, measure or sort of recalculate for. So we're going to have a look now at the drivers leaving the end of the pit lane. Matt Slight and his teammate Taylor Adams, as usual, 2 of the first drivers out. But still, a very well-represented field, isn't it, Ed? A great-looking pack of cars for us once again this season. Lovely liveries all up and down the order. Seems like John Roberts' car, number 486 there on the left-hand side, is completely plain white for some reason.
Not sure what is going on there. But having a look as well, just at other storylines in the championship as well. I mean, Callum Brandt currently 5th, but off of the back of 3 races where he hasn't scored any points. Finished outside, actually, at Donington Park, didn't he, after a very tricky evening, trying to come back through the field, but then getting caught up in incidents and accidents. We'll have to see, of course.
Well, he's not even here tonight,
but he is not here tonight either, so he could be completely out of the equation. Just seeing what Regenta can do. And always first out, aren't they, Chaz, in qualifying?
They always are, mate. They always are. We ride on board now with Matt Slight in the McLaren, his teammate Taylor Adams just ahead of him in the Mercedes. And it's lovely to have this updated version of Spa Francorchamps. It was one of the oldest circuits on iRacing for a long, long time. And they have this 2024 update to it now. You can see some of the liveries just loading in. I just wanted to refresh them to make sure that I didn't have a mistake with John Roberts' car, and it does now have its livery on it, so not quite sure what had happened there. It seemed to remove it despite trading paints being open for the entirety of the evening. one of those strange things, unfortunately. Reigning champion Jake Cranstone, he's very much in the mix once again. He finished third in the CDM Formula 1 World Championship just last week. Sam Fitzpatrick taking the title there. Second place going the way of Jesper Eriksson. And Jake, once again the bridesmaid in the Chaz Draycott Media Championship. He'll be hoping to get some in the upcoming Boring Cars Championship. The British Boring Car Championship will return in July. Jake, I'm sure, will be hoping to not be second this time to Henry Morse.
Yeah, Jake Cranstone, obviously with the Jetta P1 on the... If we can just about get an angle of it, but we're currently on board with him now.
We'll see, actually,
get it into the bus stop chicane. There we go.
Love it.
Beautiful little nod to the Boring Cars.
Well, I think that was more to do with the Racing Line Jetta Cup, I think, which he competed in before Boring Cars. There was two of the finest Jetta leagues on iRacing, run by the Racing Line, Jack Johns, who's been in the commentary box with us before. Look at this run, though, down to Eau Rouge. It's fantastic, but it's terrifying at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, we go on board with Cranstone. Currently third in the championship. So careful to not get an off track through there, especially when the tyres are cold. They're not up to temperature. You need to balance it really carefully. I mean, in this Porsche, it is sort of the more lively of the GT4 machinery that we have on offer here tonight. It's certainly a little bit excitable through the corners. It's obviously going to benefit it at some points with the rotation, but then at points, I think, down through Pouon or Double Gauche, the double left-hander that we come through out of Speaker's Corner, that's an area I think this car is certainly going to struggle just because of that instability and sort of the tendency for the car to over-rotate a little.
Yeah, it's one of those circuits, isn't it, though, where everything's a bit smooth around here and it's easy for the car to just slowly slide away from you. Matthias Penzeler will be hoping that this Mercedes doesn't slide away from him tonight. Pulled a fantastic blinder with the strategy, along with Taylor Adams, actually, at Donington Park to take his first ever win in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. It's been lovely to see drivers like Matthias continue to come back and back again to the championship and get better and better and slowly improve their results. Just behind him there on track is Ben Chalcraft in the Porsche. Ben in the Spontex CDM Esports colours. He's also got one of the Astons behind him there, which I think is, yes, John Bailiff in the Win It or Bin It racing machine. The Aston, a lovely looking race car, lovely sounding race car as well. It has its circuits, doesn't it, Ed, where it does have its strengths, but I don't know if some of the slower technical sections, such as the bus stop, will hinder it a little bit here at Spa.
Yeah, it's going to also struggle into turn one, which could then impact it all the way up Eau Rouge and Raidillon and then down the Kemmel Straight. It's not necessarily the easiest car, but as long as you can get that sort of initial turn in, the rest of it follows suit. But it's all about the initial weight transfer, and you can see it's struggling a little bit there. Yeah, and just another interesting fact to note, Chaz. We've had 5 races so far this season, 5 different race winners.
Yeah.
Just having a look through the point sheet that we've got, and not one of the top 3 yet to win. Taylor Adams, Lewis Ward, Jake Cranstone, all searching for the top step this season.
It's pretty remarkable, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a testament, isn't it, to the level of this championship, where the top 3 yet to win a race, and we've had 5 different race winners from, well, the 5 races we've had so far this season.
Yeah, it's pretty
epic.
epic.
Show that season 6 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge is certainly the strongest of the bunch, but we say that for pretty much every season that we've been through, isn't it? It's always been going from strength to strength, and it's really, really great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. The championship is always evolving, it's always getting better and better, and this season really does culminate the level that we keep talking about. I mean, over the last seasons, you know, we've always said things like, you know, anybody in the top 5 could win a race, anybody in the top 10. Now it's about the top 15 drivers that could all win a race. You know, we look at these sprint races, we look at the reverse grid, and any one of them could end up winning this. We saw this man that we ride on board with now, Ben Idris Abdullahi, take a sprint race victory at Interlagos earlier on in the season. A very, very popular win indeed. And I'm sure that he will like more in time. He's got his teammate Nils Cord just in front of him on the road there. Nils not setting a valid lap time with his first qualifying lap. Nils, of course, the champion of Season 4 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. We had Season 1 champion Simon Povey on track with us, but he unfortunately had to back out of the series to focus on other things. Then, of course, Lewis Ward, double champion, possibly the most successful driver in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. I'm not sure if he's got more race wins than anybody else, but he has more championships, and that's the key defining statistic. Lewis, previously a driver for Apex Racing Academy. Very, very fast driver indeed, but also very level-headed as well.
Yes, definitely. He's sort of a bit more of a cooler customer that we have in the sort of, well, the top 5 we often see racing, don't we? They like to get their elbows out. Certainly one of those drivers in this sort of now quartet of Mercedes we have on our screen. The third driver, Matthias Temi, does not like to back down from a fight, but it's certainly seen him go well. He's got a podium so far this season, actually his first race of the season at Sebring. From there has been, well, a constant challenger, hasn't he, inside those top 10, inside the top 5. Maybe not had the consistency, but with 5 more races to go, still plenty of opportunities for drivers to climb up the championship standings.
Definitely. There really is.
Yeah, this man, Adam Watson.
Yeah, Adam Watson as well. One of the fastest drivers that we've ever had in the community, Adam. He's a real quick thinker on circuit as well. We've seen some epic drives through the order from Adam where he just can't seem to be stopped. You know, when somebody's just on form on a race weekend, we've seen it in real life as well, you know. I mean, you look back to, I don't mean this is a direct comparison, but, you know, just last weekend we had the first race weekend of the 2025 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship at Misano. And everybody turned up wondering whether 6-time champion Norbert Kish, the Hungarian driver, who's also an avid iRacer as well, we all wondered whether he would return to the series and carry on winning in such a dominant fashion as he did. Put it this way, 2023 he won 19 races out of 28. Nobody else won more than 2. It was unbelievable. And we all wondered, you know, with 4 races a weekend, would he come back and still be as dominant? Yeah, he won all 4 races. And it was just incredible. But it's the way he makes his way through the order as well, and that's what we've seen Adam do time and time again. Even if he's had issues to start the night, Adam will just fly through the order as if he's in a different class. You know, it's like sometimes he's in a GT3 car and the rest of these guys are in GT4s. It is a joy to watch him, and we look forward to seeing what he can produce tonight. So far, though, no qualifying lap.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of issues, he is yet to get on to the timing sheets. Currently yet to, like you mentioned, set a time on the board, and he won't have a whole lot of time to do it. Basically, after this lap, he will have 1 more because it's around about 2.5 minutes for a lap around here. He won't be able to, when he crosses the line, complete 2 more laps. So he's basically got either this lap, if it's valid, fine, he's got a sort of banker lap set. If not, it's going to be all down to this next lap, which will be his final attempt for actually quite a few of the drivers, won't they, crossing the line. Matthias Tem, one of them as well. He's currently in 7th place. Adam Watson does get a time on the board. His teammate Arthur Thurtle goes even faster though. The Altitude 3M Esports driver, top of the bunch. Is exactly what he'd be looking for a championship charge. Or position around Spa. Not necessarily the be-all and end-all though, is it, Chaz? It's certainly a track we see plenty of overtaking at.
Yeah, definitely. We will see a lot of it. It's just mad, though, to see, isn't it? I mean, Lewis Ward down there in 19th place. Christopher Smith, 20th. He's usually a considerable front runner here. We've got Jake Cranstone down in 15th position, the reigning champion. Tim Perry even in 14th place. It's incredible how mixed it is. John Bailiff's going well in 11th. John's shown some great pace this season. PJ Clysons is up into 8th place now at the moment. Satellite Racing are together in 6th and 7th. Then Chalcraft running in 12th in the Spontex CDM Esports Porsche. Got 32 thousandths between the top 2. The top 16, bearing in mind that it's 2.5 minutes a lap round here, the top 16 are only just separated by a second. Once again, not only has the level improved in this championship, but it's just getting closer and closer together all the time.
Yeah, it is. Every single time we look. Actually, Matt's Light now into the pits, so will not be setting any further times. He'll be hoping that his effort was that's good enough for second place will keep him there. Pentila, seeing if he's improving any of his sectors. Doesn't seem to be at the moment. He'll be coming through actually towards the end of this lap to see if he can start another one in time. He might be one of the final few drivers actually to get a time on the board. Love this lure though, the track mouse.
Yeah.
It was Mark Johnson, Stephen Codman.
Really cool.
Beautiful bit of kit there. Those Porsches just in the background as well as the Orris Racing cars. Heinz Meyer and I think Kim Such were there.
They were indeed. John Roberts in the mix as well. They are part of the Orris Racing red outfit. Taylor Adams goes third quickest as, excuse me, Heinz. Goodbye, son. The Orris Analytics sponsor of the championship visiting the gravel.
As well. Sorry, just noticing. No more lap times for any of the drivers that cross the line now. This is going to be the final lap time for Lewis Ward. As he crosses the line, breaks the beam, only improves to 15th. Jake Cranstone improves as well, but he can only go 13th.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Second and third in the championship, 13th and 15th.
Wow. That's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. And it's Nils Kaur that has gone up into second place. His teammate Ben Idris Abdullahi remains in 7th spot. Keep an eye on the times coming through. Christopher Rowe could do with an improvement as well. None for him. Simon Price is coming round to complete a lap. He'll be the next car to cross the line in the BMW. He's moved over to the Spontex CDM Esports Blue team to fill in for Simon Povey's now vacant seat. Simon trying to drag the absolute housing estate-sized BMW through that chicane. And he will complete his qualifying session with a 2:32.3 just off the back of John Roberts. And that will be his final time in the session. What about Tim Perry? He's hopping and skipping and jumping over the curbs in the background. Not sure that's going to be an improvement for Tim. Just one sector is better. No, not enough for him. Christopher Smith will be next up, and I'm not sure how close this is going to be. I think he might just cross the line here with a minute left to go.
I was having a look, and I think it was Smith and Bentila who were the last drivers to sort of make it over the line in time. Could be tight, I think. As long as they have got pretty competitive lap times, they should be okay. Currently aboard with the Finn, who is in 5th place at the moment. Still a decent spot to be when you consider a lot of the championship rivals, notably Lewis Ward, Jake Cranstone, starting further back than they would have been hoping. Let's see, obviously, if Christopher Smith can further compound the misery of Lewis Ward and Jake Cranstone by getting a few positions ahead of him. In fact, actually, no, Christopher Smith backs way off. Massive slingshot for his teammate. Nice little apex as well. He's going to have to go straight line it now. Hug that right-hand side of the circuit. Nearly actually went off the track as well. But crosses the line just in time.
Wow.
Just as the session ticks to 0. Takes pole position.
That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous from Matthias Pentila. And he will take pole position for the first race of the night. Incredible. He's got Arthur Thurtle alongside him on the front row, and the top 4 are separated by 55 thousandths of a second. Nils Kaur and Matt Slight make up row 2 ahead of Taylor Adams and Adam Watson. Then it's Ben Idris Abdullahi, PJ Clysons and Matthias Tem, with Guy Edwards completing the top 10 positions. Dominic Brennan is next up with John Bailiff alongside him. Following them is reigning champion Jake Cranstone. Ben Chalcraft next up, 5 thousandths ahead of Lewis Ward. Tim Perry is 16th ahead of Christopher Smith, 17th. Dennis Van Beelen next up in 18th. Mark Johnson and his Trackmouse Racing teammate Stephen Codman complete the top 20. Then it's Stephen Burns in the Masters of Talk car alongside Eric Manintveld, with Christopher Rowe and Heinz Meyer joining him on row number 12 of the grid. Then we have Kim Such and John Roberts alongside one another, with Simon Price completing the 27-car field here today at Spa-Francorchamps. So lots to think about here in this race, Ed. Lots and lots to think about for these drivers as they line up now behind where the theoretical pace car will be.
Yes, and I think the big storyline is going to be the major players in the championship fight. Lewis Ward, Jake Cranstone, outside of the top 10. Taylor Adams, championship leader, sees himself in 5th, so he's got a decent spot to try and break away from those two that were chasing him down. But as well, Arthur Thurtle, he's put himself in one of the perfect spots, hasn't he? Just alongside Matthias Pentela on pole position. But what a lap that was at the end there, was it, Chaz? We thought that he didn't make it in time. It was so close.
That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. A lovely little indicator there as to why you should do your windscreen banners in your iRacing leagues, everybody. You can see how well it ties all the cars together with all of the different logos that we have. Of course, thanks once again to Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Orris Analytics for the sponsorship of Season 6 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. Well, Taylor Adams has got a great opportunity now to extend that championship lead in the first race. Top 10 on the grid are reversed for race 2, and only the top 12 places get you points. This is going to be a savage night for it. 15 points for the race win, then 12 points for second place, and then it's simply 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So a lot of the drivers need to keep their wits about them this evening, but sometimes these races can be a bit more about survival, can't they? It brings out the beast in some of them, doesn't it, Ed?
Yes, and we'll see just how well these drivers can survive. The opening lap melee here at Spa Turn 1 is always pretty feisty. There's a lot of room that the drivers can all try and fight for, but oftentimes they just try and fight for the same few points. Look at the jump, though, that Matthias gets on the rest of the field. He's got a clear run in towards Turn 1. The two 3M Astons getting caught napping.
Yeah, Adam Watson tried to go really wide around the outside. I think he had to jump out to the left to avoid the McLaren. As always, made contact with PJ Clyson's there, door to door as they head down the hill. They're still door to door. Adam's been turned. Adam is in front of the field. He's trying to slow it down, and somehow that doesn't escalate into a larger incident. But he already turned right across PJ Clyson's once, and then the second time was just once too many after that. At the moment, though, it is Matthias Pentela that leads the way. Ben Chalcraft is off the road. He's in the barrier at Radion. But Pentela, what a start that was for him, Ed. Like you said, he got a great initial jump. Nils Core and Arthur Thurtle following along.
Yeah, just caught everyone else napping, it seemed, on that left-hand side. Arthur Thurtle just did not get the jump that he was anticipating alongside him. Nils Core took great advantage to slide up into second place. Looking further back as well. Actually, Jake Branson, he had a brilliant start up 4 places as Dominic Brennan's getting in the mix, isn't he? Look at the BMW trying to go wheel to wheel with Matthias Tem all the way around the outside. It's going to be tricky now down in towards Pouon.
It was Taylor Adams that went really deep into Bruchet for some reason. Looked like he was a little bit early on the brakes, as if he was distracted, and then he ran really wide. Dominic Brennan pushed off the road there. Matthias Tem not mucking about. He says, have some of that sunshine. Jake Cranstone behind those guys. 4 places gained for him. What a fantastic start he has had. And in the background, Lewis Ward trying to make ground while also holding off Guy Edwards, who's lost 4 places from the very start. But I'm intrigued by what happened to Adam Watson there. He came out of the first corner. I think he tried to move to the right-hand side to avoid, I think it was Matt Slight's McLaren. But Adam already moved over to the left. He didn't gain an advantage by doing so, but I think it was more in avoidance. Keeps it all the way over to the left down towards turn 1. You can hear all the cars on his right-hand side. And watch out for the McLaren. There's a little tap there. The McLaren goes in front. He gets the run, so he goes right. There's the touch with the Mercedes. And the Mercedes doesn't disappear, and he just still tries to keep putting his nose in the middle, and then it ends up in that. I mean, he does an amazing job to, well, pick it all up as a result of that. I want to see then what happened to Ben Chalcraft. Does he have to avoid somebody else? Oh, dearie me, Dennis Van Beelen. That was a wild ride for Ben, and flipping heck, he did all right to not keep it, to not get in the wall. As Adam Watson has come into the pits now, Ed. Simon Price has had a mishap.
Big damage on the front of his Aston. I'm not surprised to see him have to take a trip into the pits. That car must be, well, feeling like an old shoe. It's not at all comfortable.
I like that analogy. Not heard that one before. Oh, Hines.
Oh, Hines, no. Oh, dearie me.
How many times have you seen that, though?
Yeah, just the snap, isn't it? Big side-on impact, and you can see suspension damage. He's had to take a trip into the pits. This is Simon Price's damage.
Oh.
The entire front end just ripped off of the BMW.
That was scary for Chalcraft.
Yeah, well, look, Ben's already been in the walls so far, and he's thinking, oh, please, not another one.
Oh, goodness me. And to be fair, Heinz Mayer also, after already having his damage, watch this. Suddenly there's a car in the road. Oh, goodness me. I can imagine what you're saying.
Down to keep it in a straight line.
Yeah. Oh, nightmare fuel. Right. Matthias Pentila leads the way at the moment from Nils Cora. Arthur Thurtle next up. Ben Idris Abdullahi fourth. Matt Slight, Matthias Tem, Dominic Brennan, Taylor Adams, Jake Cranstone, PJ Clysons. That's the top 10. John Bailiff and Lewis Ward, the final 2-point scorers at the minute. Tim Perry and Guy Edwards are in the thick of this fight as well. There's loads of them in a big train. Look at that for a sight. It's great.
Beautiful, isn't it? A lovely train. This is what we get at Spa. It gives us great racing and also close action from the front all the way through the field, just because the slipstream allows the cars to sort of battle with one another without losing out on too much time. It gives the drivers the confidence to try moves up the inside and know that they're not really going to be losing touch with the cars ahead if it doesn't quite go to plan. But what I'm really impressed with actually is the race currently from our race leader. Matthias is going really well off the back of his victory in the endurance. It was really well managed as well, to be fair to him. The strategy played a massive part in that, but now he's also showing that he's got the raw pace to back that up. In these sprints, it's not really a strategy battle, is it? It's just zero stops from lights to flag, and that's looking pretty good for Matthias. But Nils Cora breathing down his neck. The two of them might be trying to work together a little bit, because you can see daylight between Nils Cora and Arthur Thurtle.
Yeah, Nils knows when to pick his battles as well. He's one of those drivers, isn't he? He's very wise head on him, so I imagine he'll be thinking about when to fight and when not to. If we look a little bit further back here, we've got a sextet of cars with Jake Cranstone at the rear of it, and then another septet with Christopher Smith at the back of it as well. It's just big groups of cars here at Spa. There's quite a lot of slipstreaming goes on here, so it keeps them nice and close together, even in the GT4 class, as Dennis Van Beelen moves around a lot. And look now, here comes the slipstreaming from Christopher Smith. It's not too strong, but it's enough to give you a decent tow down there, as there's a change of position. Ben Idris Abdullahi and Matt Slight, as there's some drama and contact. Who was that off the road? Was that Don Brennan? Brennan off the road. There's that Taylor Adams involved as well, championship leader. Is he in trouble? I think he might have had a slowdown.
May have been. I don't know if it's too catastrophic, but yeah, Taylor Adams definitely with a bit of a slowdown. We'll see Matt Slight. This was the side-by-side between himself and Ben Idris Abdullahi.
Oh, yes.
And that was in the background.
Yes, it was Don Brennan and Taylor Adams in the background that had the drama. Let's have a look here. I think Taylor trying to defend from Jake. He tries to go as late as he does on the brakes, gets into the ABS. Car just straight lines, pushes Dom off the road, and he and Jake both have to work hard to get back on the track. Wow. Very uncharacteristic stuff from the pair of them there, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Jake actually ended up getting ahead of Taylor Adams now, so somewhere in all of that, Jake has managed to get another position, currently up 5 from where he started. Again, we said it quite a bit this season that Jake's qualifying performances haven't really all been there, have they, Chaz? But in the races, he just comes alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget as well, on top of that, we said earlier, Taylor Adams has got a great opportunity here, being so far ahead of the likes of Jake and Lewis. He's now within the same 5 cars as them, as Lewis Ward sits behind John Bailiff. So, yeah, he's completely eradicated his own potential to extend his championship lead, as John Bailiff runs a bit wide through Blanchimont. Lewis Ward says, no thank you, I don't want anything to do with that. Tries to get around the outside. Tim Perry gets a front row seat of that. Lewis tries to sweep round. Lovely stuff that. Will John give the room? I think they just about got away with it. Great racing that by the pair of them, though, door to door. And look how close the entire field is, all the way down to about 16th position, much like it was in qualifying. 12 minutes and 20 seconds left to go here at Spa-Francorchamps. Seems like we've got 800 Mercedes in the field this year and not really anything else. Everywhere you look, there's at least one Mercedes, as there's been a change for the lead even. Nils Cora's taken the lead off Matthias Pentila.
Have a look now.
Under the radar.
Is it going to be through Blanchimont, or is it just before? I think it's Matthias realises it's probably best to not go too wide through there.
Close.
He gets the nose chopped off for good measure. Lovely little move though, isn't it, Nils? I think maybe just got a bit of a nicer exit out of the corner onto that little back stretch. Probably took full advantage of it.
Absolutely. And now Arthur Thurtle is in the mix as well, right behind these pair, and then Ben Idris Abdullahi in the other satellite racing BMW. Still got plenty of company. They don't have to think about saving fuel, they don't have to think about strategies or anything fancy. I do love Nils' paintwork on this car, by the way. I think it's Nils that does all the liveries, but they've got the glitter effect on the rear bumper, but also they've gone for a forged carbon effect with the spec map on the rear wing. It's not just smooth carbon, you can see. It looks rough and shiny in different places as if it's forged carbon. Looks absolutely magic. John Bailiff has unfortunately gone off the road here. As, oh, Tim Perry's involved, and was that Guy Edwards clipping him, or was that Christopher Smith? That looked like it got a little bit hairy.
Wide, oh dearie me. Yeah, that's...
I don't know what the boys were doing there. Yeah, Christopher Smith is the other car.
There.
What on earth was that about, gentlemen?
Is that into Bruce say? Yes, it is.
I mean, it was never going to work anyway. I don't think... In that particular instance, I don't think any of them did anything wrong, but where did it all start? So this is where it begins. So Guy Edwards gets a run. He moves over to the right of John Bailiff, which he's well entitled to, but I don't think you can apportion blame there. They all tried to fill a gap and all tried to make it work, but yeah.
3 into 1 just does not go in that occasion. It's hard enough getting 2 cars wide through there just because of the sort of radius of the corner, the line you have to take with the downhill as well. So yeah, mate, trying to fit it 3 wide, you're always going to be coming off worse if you're on the outside line through there. It's just sadly the nature of the circuit and the nature of, well, these GT4 cars.
And the sprint races as well, you know. In an endurance race, you probably wouldn't have seen any of those guys go for that, but they know there's about 10 minutes of the race left to go, and that's half of it. So, you know, they have to push for these things, and the sprint racing, you know, they do often comment, you know, the driving standards aren't as good in these sorts of sprint races, but there's a lot more on the line in a shorter space of time. So, well, I mean, there's not as many points on the line, but it's just a smaller window to get things done. So all of it seems compressed.
Yeah, and as well, I don't think like you mentioned, the standards aren't even like that horrific, are they? In terms of what we've seen before.
We've seen worse.
We've definitely seen worse. Not in Sim Racer magazine, but we've certainly seen worse in other series. But I think it's just about, obviously, the drivers, they're desperate for the moves, and sometimes it's little misjudgments here or there, like we saw with that 3 wide. It wasn't necessarily the driving standards that were the issue. It was just more the fact that the drivers are maybe going for the lower percentage moves that they wouldn't normally do, but it's not necessarily reckless.
No. I was going to just say that, as we got on board with Jake Cranston, I could hear a Mercedes rumbling next to him, and I did wonder whether Taylor Adams had managed to get alongside or not, and he certainly had. Taylor now very much in the mix, with PJ Clyson's right behind him as well. Taylor and PJ both dropped places from where they started in this race, so they're hoping to recover. At the moment, it would be a Mercedes front row with PJ and Taylor on that front row. PJ taking pole position in the reverse grid. Still, the battle goes on at the front, though.
Tonight could be a very important night for the championship because the top 3 all currently together outside of, well, none of them are in the top 7, are they? Jake Cranston, I think, is the highest placed of the drivers in that top 3, in 8th place. You've got Taylor Adams, championship leader, in 9th. Lewis Ward, 2nd in the championship. He's outside the top 10.
Yeah, so he
got
would...
his teammate PJ Clyson's, though, to help him out potentially.
Yeah, that's the thing. Will they think about the reverse grid positions? Will they try and work together? Because at the moment, Taylor would be starting the next race 2nd on the grid, with Jake Cranston starting at 3rd, and then Lewis would have to start from 11th with all the tough nuts to crack in front of him, so to speak. So it's certainly not a favoured situation for him right now. It's not a favoured situation for Arthur Thurtle either, as he has to look back and see that gopping BMW right behind him, let alone the fact that BMW is trying to attack and overtake him. Ben Idris Abdullahi not only trying to attack and overtake him, but he's trying to hit the back of him, bad look at it. Now we know it's not intentional, Ben. One of those things. Christopher Smith side by side with Tim Perry after their little greeting earlier on. The track mouse McLaren's having a good old scrap here. That's Eric Maninfeld getting very, very friendly with Stephen Codman, sliding up the inside like a slippery salmon, you could say. Now he tries to get the run down the hill again. All the while, Christopher Rowe has a front row seat. Sorry. Matthias Pentel are going for the lead.
Yeah, here we go. Side by side. Matthias on the outside, and it's conceded actually by Nils Korp. Quite smart, I guess, to realise that you don't want to get involved in an accident, especially with the field this close together. You can see you drop outside the top 10 and outside of the reverse grid. So maybe a little bit more cautious from Nils in this first race of the evening. Nils, though, I think he's going to try and fight for the victory before the end of the race.
Definitely.
Still yet to take the top step this season. As further back we've got Codman and Maninveld. Codman trying to go around the outside. Maninveld holding that inner line, and again you can just see through Roussel, it's so hard to fight around the outside, as perfectly illustrated by the pair of them there.
Yeah, that was really close stuff. Lovely racing though. And they now continue on as they head down towards Double-Gauche. John Roberts has had a drama. The rear wing has come off of his Mercedes. I think he might have just lost it on the exit of Malmedy. Horrible, horrible corner to lose it on. There's a lot of things you can hit down there, unfortunately. Matt Slight and Matthias Tem, how many times have we seen these two in a fight together in SRM? They are glued to one another again. Matthias is not the sort of driver to back out of a fight, but I think right now he's hoping that they can catch up to the lead quartet in front of them. What do you reckon?
Yeah, he's going to see. He also gave himself a good little bit of breathing room, space to then slingshot through out of. You could just hit there. You could almost visually see that gap open up as they went through in towards that left-hand kink, and that was really smart from Matthias. Actually, if we ever have another look from the onboard, you can see Matthias is actually giving the space. Sorry, we're coming a little bit too close to it, but it gives the space going into the corner to get that drive out.
Yeah, I don't know whether Matt Slight's let him go there as well, you know. I think Matt may be thinking, I don't need this pressure behind me. Maybe you can spearhead taking us forward in all of this, because he went really far over to the left and basically opened the door for him, didn't he? It was not something we'd see, because we'd expect drivers to try and send the attacking driver around the outside through there, not let them go down the inside.
Yeah, as well though, maybe he has confidence on the final lap with how strong the slipstream is around here that he can take that position back pretty easily. So a lot of the time we do see drivers opt to actually start the final lap behind the car that they're trying to overtake, just because of how strong the slipstream is around here. May not necessarily work out for them, but we have often seen that be the case, haven't we, Chaz?
We definitely have. Many a time in this series before and with this organisation. But it's Matthias Pentelaere that continues to lead this race right now and doing a sterling job as well. He'll be really, really pleased with his current efforts, especially after coming off the back of a victory at Donington, like Ed rightly pointed out. He's been a busy boy at the front of these fields recently, and to take a win in the endurance race and then to also get one in the returning in the sprint race as well, because the word completely left me there. That'll be extra rewarding, won't it, to get a win in each kind of these races?
Yes, and it will show that that first race wasn't necessarily down to a little bit of fluky strategy. It was definitely on merit, and we're going to have to see if he can fend off the charging BMW in behind. I know that Nils Kaur, he's very smart with how he approaches the races as well, though, isn't he, Chaz? He's definitely won on more than a few occasions. Just looking at the time, are we going to get... I think we're going to get this lap and then one...
Oh, it's going to be close.
Well, yeah,
they're doing
2:28s
at the moment. Yeah, they're definitely going to get 2 more laps.
2 more.
2 minutes 40 left on the clock. They are going to be running this very close. Yeah, they're within 10 seconds of not having to do. And the lappers in the background there, that's Taylor Adams and Dom Brennan getting very friendly with each other. They've had some fantastic battles in the past. A little bit of contact as they headed out of the final corner there. And now Taylor tries to go late on the brakes. Look at that around the outside. But now that opens the door to PJ Clysons and Lewis Ward. What about the run down the hill, though? He takes a wider line. All he can do really is push the BMW here. You don't want to try and get alongside into somewhere like Eau Rouge. He'll back out a little bit early, maybe. No, he's glued to the back of that BMW. And look behind them now. Look at the run that PJ's got. And watch out for Lewis Ward as well. We'll stick with this for a moment, Ed.
Yeah. Lovely little train, isn't it? Great aerial shot just to see the closing speed. Just Taylor Adams getting eaten up by PJ Clysons, but then opts for the outside line. Look at how far ahead he is as well, and he can just sweep his way through. Little bit of argy-bargy there as they then finally sort themselves out through Melbourne. Look at
Lewis
that.
Ward.
Lewis Ward.
Lewis just, Dom Brennan, the poor bloke. Yeah. That was gorgeous by Lewis Ward. That absolutely fantastic bit of opportunism. Sees all this going on. Thank you very much.
Look at that. Whoa.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant bit of driving that, and that's what we come to expect from a double champion in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. Epic, epic stuff that. Really cool.
And desperately needed for Lewis Ward because of the reverse.
Very true. Reverse grid pole position will go his way. Not sure if
At least as it stands.
No, sorry, I thought I'd lost you for a sec then, Ed. It just cut out, so I instantly continued as fast as I could.
I'm just thinking, as it stands at least, isn't it? That is reverse grid pole position.
Yep.
Still, though, we got the remaining bit of this lap, and then one more to go. Matthias Penteler leads the way as, hang about, is team orders maybe going on?
I don't know. Lewis has been effectively pushing PJ for the last half a lap. They give each other all the room in the world. Dominic Brennan's got a great fight of this inter-team battle. He says, you know what, boys, I'm not lifting through here. I want to be a part of this as well. Lewis Ward goes up into 9th. I think PJ might play a bit of rear gunner to him now, but I don't know. PJ's not one to back out of a fight. Guy Edwards is in the mix as well. One more lap to go here in round 6 of Season 6 of the SRM GT4 Challenge, sponsored by Orris Analytics and Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Huge thank you to each of them and for everybody for making this championship what it is. You're here on Chaz Draycott Media listening to Chaz Draycott and Ed May up in the commentary box. We've had a lovely sprint race to get our night underway here, Ed, haven't we? This has been great.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's got this lovely quartet now for the race victory. Got 2 as well of the satellite racing cars up inside the top 4. That's going to be a huge haul of points for at least this first race of the evening, especially considering RD SimSport are just the one driver. Matthias Penteler flying the flag. Niels Kort just nose ahead as they go onto the brakes now in towards chicane, and he's got about a car's width around the outside to find it back through Melody.
Look at that from Niels Kort. That is as committed as you like. Arthur Thurtle wants a piece of it. Ben Idris Abdullahi doesn't put himself in a silly situation. I think there was a little bit of a touch there between the two of them at the back of this quartet. It's oh so close. Keep your eye on Thurtle and Abdullahi. They rub wheels as they head through No Name. A little bit of door-to-door contact, but Niels Kort finds himself at the front of this pack. He has finished only 3rd in a race this season. Arthur Thurtle and Ben Idris Abdullahi still rubbing panels as they go through Double Gauche. Hopefully they both survive all this. There's contact and even more contact. It looked like a bit of netcode, the secondary bit of it. Not sure if Ben just squeezed him to the inside, but now it just becomes between Niels Kort and Matthias Penteler. Has Niels gone too early here, though, Ed? That's going to be the question.
We'll have to see. These next 2 corners are going to be crucial. Niels has to nail it to get the run to keep him safe in towards the bus stop chicane, and it looks pretty comfortable, doesn't it?
Nice run.
See that BMW stretching its legs. It's got a good top end, but can Matthias really nail Blanchimont? This is going to have to be key if he wants to win races back to back. Meanwhile, Niels Kort searching for his first trip to the top step. Could this be it here now? But look at Matthias, he's closing in into the braking zone.
I don't think he's close enough to do it. I think it'd be silly for him to really send it from there. He has a little look just to try and unsettle Niels Kort. He's very close to the back of him as they turn into the bus stop. But for the first time this season, Niels Kort wins in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. What a brilliant sprint race we just had. Matt Slight moves over in the background there. Matthias Tem gets a top 5. And Taylor Adams gets ahead of his teammate across the line. Lewis Ward finishes 9th. PJ Clysons finishes 10th. Final points go to Dominic Brennan and Guy Edwards in that one. And we've still got battles going on in the background. Eric Mannenfeld ahead of Stephen Codman, Mark Johnson, Christopher Rowe and Ben Chalcraft. Stephen Burns. Well, one of the important storylines there, Adam Watson did not score a point in that, finishing in 22nd place. But it's wonderful to see, finally, Niels Kort back on the top step here in a Sim Racing Magazine event, and he's been waiting for that one for a while, hasn't he, Ed? He got his championship. He didn't have it his own way in Season 5 with Jake Cranstone, the car in front of him on circuit there, taking the title. But that one will mean a lot to Nils, that. He's needed that.
Yes, definitely. For even potentially his championship, he's going to be scoring some strong championship points when a lot of the drivers around him weren't necessarily having the best races. So that could be very important. And maybe a turning point for Niels Kort's season. He's been pretty unlucky in, well, a lot of this season as well. Let's not forget about that. To be fair, though, if Niels Kort had, well, didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Nils Kort takes the race win then by just under 0.2 of a second from Matthias Pentila. Arthur Thurtle gets another podium. That'll help his championship campaign. He's 4th at the moment in the standings, with Ben Idris Abdullahi next up in 4th place. Matthias Tem in 5th. Jake Cranstone, reigning champion, is 6th ahead of Taylor Adams and Matt Slight, the 2 Regenta cars, choreographing that one nicely at the end. Lewis Ward and PJ Clysons for Team 11. That'll mean it's 2 Team 11 cars, then 2 Regenta Sim Racing cars at the front of the grid. Dominic Brennan just misses out on the reverse grid pole ahead of Guy Edwards. He is the last point scorer in that one. Altitude 3M Esports are next up with Tim Perry, Christopher Smith, Dennis Van Beelen, Eric Manintveld, Stephen Codman and Mark Johnson, with Christopher Rowe and Ben Chelcraft completing the top 20. Then we have Stephen Burns, Adam Watson, Kim Such, John Bailiff and Heinz Mayer, John Roberts and Simon Price not finishing the race. So it's that time of night, everybody, where Ed and I just take a quick break here. So if you bear with us for just a few minutes, we will be right back here on Chaz Draycott Media. And hopefully we will have some wonderful racing to come in the half-hour sprint race, which is the second race of the evening. We'll be back with you in a few minutes' time. Don't go away. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenges 6th season, sponsored by Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Orris Analytics from Spa Francorchamps. We are here for the 6th and 7th rounds of the championship. 2 sprint races. We've had the 20-minute sprint race so far this evening, and we now come to the half-hour. Warm-up session is just on at the moment with a few minutes left. But Ed, we have had a brilliant first race of the night. Really typical action-packed sprint racing, which we thoroughly enjoyed. And it means that the championship is just as close as ever, doesn't it, mate?
Yes, it certainly is. Very tight up there in the championship standings. But, yeah, having a look. But, well, the fallout from the last race, we have another new race winner. After the first 6 races, we now have 6 race winners.
Sorry, just perfect time for me to have a drink. No repeat winners.
Brilliant storyline, isn't it, again, for Nils Court to get that race victory, but had to fight hard against Matthias, who certainly is showing he's an on-form driver. 3 podiums in his last 3 outings.
Yeah.
He's, well, got a 75% hit rate on podiums. His first race was race 1 at Interlagos, and then obviously got the podium in the second race. Race victory at Donington Park, and then again second at Spa. He has been flying so far this season.
Absolutely.
I mean, if this form continues, he is still an outside shot for the championship.
He really is, and I mean it's unfortunate when you look at the likes of Adam Watson, who we've got on screen now. He missed the first round of the season. Turned up at Sebring, won the race, then finished second in the next round, but then he's had a 23rd, a 21st and a 22nd, and now a spin out of the final chicane. It's mad to think, though, the championship leader, Taylor Adams, he's only had 2 podiums this season, a 3rd and a 2nd. Otherwise, he's had a 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. He's almost got a flush. Lewis Ward started with 3 4th places, a 2nd, a 5th and a 9th. But he's tied on points for the championship lead. Drop scores really have changed my life. I hate having them to do manual calculations and try and do it on the fly. But yeah, it's certainly been brilliant to have a drop score this season. Taylor currently dropping 6 points, Lewis dropping 4, means that they are tied on points. But yeah, the highest placed driver that's won a race this season is Arthur Thurtle. He's 4th in the championship standings at the moment. It's just crazy to think that the championship is that close. You don't have to win a race to lead the thing. We've had Callum Brandt win the first race, then Adam Watson, then Arthur Thurtle, then Ben Idris Abdullahi, Matthias Penteler, and now Nils Court. Remarkable.
It really is. And we could still have more drivers winning if, well, either someone like Taylor Adams, Lewis Ward or Jake Cranstone get onto the top step, and they will definitely need it with their championship fights as close as ever. 15 seconds to go in warm-up. Some of the drivers getting acquainted to the slightly different track conditions. It certainly seems a bit more overcast for this second race. Obviously, we'll find out if that will be the case, because again, we'll have a little bit of sort of in-sim time tick over from Italianas. Well, it's a lot sunnier over here, and
God.
Well, I say that a bit more overcast as the smoke is kicked up there from the tyres. It looked like it was,
I think that was Taylor Adams.
Rejected cars, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was the Mercedes, yes.
Those tyres, I'm glad he doesn't have to use them in the race. Flipping out, they would feel like backside. PJ Clysons and Lewis Ward take the front row of the grid for race 2, Team 11. Then it's Matt Slight and Taylor Adams, Jake Cranstone and Matthias Tem, Ben Idris Abdullahi and Arthur Thurtle, with Matthias Penteler and Nils Court making up row 5. Guy Edwards is just behind Dominic Brennan, and everybody else will still be in the same order as well from where they finished that first race of the night. Only 12 point scoring positions in these sprint races. It's something that we've received a little bit of pushback from with the drivers. Understandably, though, it's a little bit too brutal. I love a brutal point system, but even I know when I've gone a little bit far with it. Still, an interesting race ahead of us here, Ed. What are your thoughts with this one? Any predictions? Are you brave enough for any predictions?
Nope. I am certainly not going to be putting my hat in the ring. I do think Lewis Ward, he's got a point to prove, but his pace just wasn't quite there, was it, in the in that first race? I'm not sure if it was mainly just because of the traffic that was maybe holding him up, but again, in qualifying, he didn't necessarily seem to have that same sort of spark that we're used to seeing. But regardless, with Taylor Adams and, well, Jake Cranstone breathing down his neck, he'll have to get the shift on if he's to keep a championship charge alive.
Definitely. I think we're going to see some teamwork here as well from the Team 11 guys, and then the Regenta Sim Racing boys behind them as well. Excited to see just how this works. I just had to give the liveries a little refresh there, because I noticed earlier that Matthias Tem had the old decal layer on the cars, where it was a full yellow windscreen banner, as opposed to having the Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Orris Analytics thing on it. Again, I don't know why or how the liveries change between rounds, because that's something I've fixed before. Seems like it just goes different week on week. The beautiful Team 11 cars will lead us away then for round number 7 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, and PJ Clijstens cracks on with it, moves over to the left to give his teammate slipstream, and we're underway racing straight off the bat. Down towards turn 1 they go, cars glowing in the sunshine here in Belgium, and already on the inside it's Matt Slight trying to get one over on Lewis Ward. He runs a little bit deep, and now Taylor Adams gets a wobble on. Jake Cranstone's had some contact in the middle. Matthias Penteler, race 1 runner-up, has to try and dive out of the way. They're 3 wide in the background as well. It's very, very nip and tuck there. Dominic Brennan next to, I think, Guy Edwards in the Mercedes. Niels Kors side by side as they go up Eau Rouge. Careful, boys, up over the top of the hill. Oh, goodness me, that is naughty stuff. But over the top of the hill, they've just about got away with it, and flipping heck.
Yeah, they're about keeping it all together, but they could be going 3 or 4 wide now. Here we go. I'll try and pick a spot, pick a gap and go for it at this point.
No, the 2
Dominic
RD
Brennan
cars clipped each other.
All around the outside. I think they're all still in one piece though, aren't they, Chaz?
Just
Through the inside, Jake Cranstone hanging on to 10th place. But that is not necessarily a start we're used to seeing from Jake, dropping back instead of going forward.
Yeah, it's alien to Jake, but this is one of the things, these sorts of nights, they can upset the rhythm of some drivers in the championship, and we just see completely different behaviour, whether it's for better or for worse, and it's so interesting to watch. But a nice clean opening sector by everybody. It's PJ Clijstens still leading from his teammate Lewis Ward in these gorgeous Team 11 cars, and then it is Matt Slight from Taylor Adams. Matthias Tem is in 5th place. Ben Idris Abdullahi, Arthur Thurtle, Nils Kors, Matthias Penteler and Jake Cranstone completely top 10. Eric Manitveld's had a good start, so too has his teammate John Bailiff. 3 places gained each for them. Adam Watson has just gained his 3rd place of the race as well in the Altitude 3M Esports. I nearly said Mercedes then. I mean, it's basically a Mercedes underneath, the Aston Martin. He's now trying to get past Mark Johnson in the Track Mouse racing machine. Ben Chalcraft in the Porsche also hoping to gain some points. Look at Adam's mid-corner speed there over Mark Johnson. Heads down the inside, runs a little bit wide into him, gives him a bit of an elbow off the road. Mark won't take that one lying down, and you can bet that he's going to want to come back on that. John Bailiff wants to try and fill that gap in between. Don't do it, John. Breathe. Breathe as you head down towards Blanchemont. Ben Chalcraft round the outside of the Porsche. That is deep, that is wide. Where's he going to come back on? You can hear him, he's there somewhere. Stephen Burns in the mix as well in the number 2 Porsche. That is not Jake Cranstone, do not get the 2 confused. Wow, 1 lap in the books, Ed. We carry on.
Yeah, and importantly, Lewis Ward, Taylor Adams, all in one piece. Jake Cranstone, again, not the start that he was hoping for. Matt Slight and Matthias Tem battling side by side. Matthias just getting up ahead now into 4th place and setting his sights on Mercedes. It's Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, up top there, definitely seems to be a Mercedes championship, even though we've got quite a decent field spread. The Mercs appears to be the car to drive here tonight.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? The Mercedes is a car that everyone tends to complain about a lot, but Matthias Tem's had a slowdown penalty. But I think with the right driver behind it, you know, once you can get the performance out of that Mercedes, it really is a car to be reckoned with. We've seen it in the past as well, in previous seasons of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. It has definitely been the car to beat with the right set of hands on the wheel. Taylor Adams in 3rd place at the moment, following these Team 11 cars, and I know for his championship he'll be quite happy to do that as well, and to follow these guys. Arthur Thurtle trying to get one back over on Ben Idris Abdullahi after their bit of contact earlier, although it was Ben that lost out, wasn't it? He was the one that went really wide. Arthur was the one that managed to continue without losing too many places. I have to say, the back of that BMW is a brilliant looking bit of kit. It's lovely, the back of the M4 GT4. It's just such a shame that is massively offset by the gopping front end on it. I saw another BMW on the road the other day, actually, and I tried my very best to figure out what it was. I think it was some sort of 7 Series or something behind me. It was just one of the ugliest things I've ever seen, and even though I drive a BMW, it almost made me embarrassed to own one. Horrific looking thing. As that is Mark Johnson. I was just going to say, I thought he'd gone in a little bit deep as, that is not exactly rejoin of the year, Sunshine. Deary me. He's going to ruffle a few feathers with that one.
Yeah. Amazingly in one piece. No idea how he managed to not get collected by anybody. We'll see just how close it was. So, actually just goes in far too deep, rear ends his teammate. Comes off second best, thankfully, for his teammate's sake, and then, dearie me, yeah. I think you put it, I couldn't put it better myself, to be honest. Yeah, not rejoin of the year candidate for sure. This is John Roberts, gets a great run there on one of the Orris cars. That was Kim Such, and then, dearie me.
It looks even worse from there. Sorry, Mark, that was really incriminating. Jake Cranstone, fastest lap of the race. It's just about all he's had going for him so far this evening. No offence, Jake, as Taylor Adams squeezes his way past PJ Clysons. I'd expect a flash from the headlights of PJ Clysons in response to that one. We know PJ loves his headlight flash button, but right now, if anything, he's helped out Lewis Ward. Lewis has got a good gap at the front of the field, yet to win a race this season, the double champion. PJ knows that even though he sits behind Taylor Adams as they come up over the hill, he's going to get a run. But watch Matt Slight in that McLaren as well. Are they going to try and box him in here? I don't think so. That'd be a little bit naughty as he moves one way then the other. I know he won't be too pleased with that. Taylor did seem to move slightly left there. A little bit more contact into the chicane. Somehow they've both still made the corner. I don't know how they did that, because even when you get in the ABS in these cars, it'll take you off, and that is decisive stuff by PJ. That was a little bit aggressive, wasn't it? Cutting across the nose at Malmedy, as now Ben Idris Abdullahi and Arthur Thurtle went in on this as well.
I thought he was going to get collected when he cut across the nose there.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
Amazed that he judged the distance between himself and the car behind that well, because he almost certainly wouldn't have got the call in sim to say that he was clear. That was
risky,
very dangerous, but again, very decisive. And PJ's raced these cars on long enough time to fully judge the distances between them and trusts his own ability, which, I mean, you've got to trust yourself in those situations. PJ, though, this was the fight between himself and Taylor Adams. They're both trying to go into the same bit of tarmac. Little bit argy-bargy, and then look at that cut across the nose.
I think Taylor backed out of it a little bit there, didn't he? And I think if he hadn't have done, there would have been a big incident there, and we'd have seen PJ Clysons facing the wrong way.
Rear gunner of the year for PJ at the moment. He's really having to put out all the stops because Taylor Adams is right up his backside now as they go in towards Blanchimont. We'll see this replay of Ben Sharcraft running a little bit wide and clattering into the wall. We saw an identical incident earlier. That was
Simon Price. No, PJ's lost it. I think there was a little touch on the way in, but PJ Clysons is around and he's backwards into the wall heavily. I don't know if there was a touch there with Taylor Adams or whether that unsettled the back end of the car. But PJ Clysons is in the wall in a very big way. It was always going to come to a head by the look of it. I think there is the tiniest of touches. I think Taylor tries to get back underneath him. It just unsettles the back of the car, doesn't it? He didn't really drive through him, but at the same time, it wasn't enough backing out, unfortunately.
Now, all of a sudden, it becomes, instead of it being 2 Team 11 cars against 1 Regenta, it's now 2 Regentas versus 1 Team 11 Lewis Ward. He might be cutting a lonely figure out in front, but Taylor Adams, I think, has he released Matt Slight there? Taylor Adams is slowing down.
Yeah, I think he got a slowdown penalty, but also at the same time, as Tem Thurtle making a bit of contact, I think he got a slowdown penalty on the way up the hill, but I also think he lost that place already to Matt Slight because of the momentum he lost through Blanchimont as a result of that contact. Look at this, though, the whole top 11 in one big train here. If we go on board with Guy Edwards in 11th, these are all but one of the point-scoring positions in the field, and it is, except for Lewis Ward at the front of the pack, this is just one huge train of GT4 cars with a third of this race gone. Brilliant stuff.
Amazing. Now, though, Matt Slight has got some work to do to catch up to Lewis Ward. That gap, almost 2 seconds. Ben Idris Abdullahi, if he gets a shift on and maybe upsets the rhythm of the McLaren, could be very interesting for the remaining 20 minutes. We've only gotten through a third of the race so far, Chaz, and we've already had about 3 races worth of action.
We really have. It's been a brilliant start to round number 7 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. Just to give you the big picture then, Lewis Ward leads the way at the moment for Team 11. Matt Slight is in second position, then it's Ben Idris Abdullahi, Taylor Adams, Arthur Thurtle, Matthias Tem, Matthias Pentela, Jake Cranstone, Nils Kaur, Dominic Brennan, Guy Edwards and Tim Perry in the point scoring places. And look at this drive by Adam Watson through the field. 9 places gained for Adam, and he's nearly inside the points. John Bailiff having a great run as well. He's gained 7 spots up into 17th from 24th on the grid. There's some great drives going on out there in this second race of the night, as we have a very close look at the number board of Arthur Thurtle. He's got Matthias Tem right up behind him there, and just about everybody else. Flipping heck. Never-ending snake of cars, this.
Yeah. Thurtle right up there in the mix of it. Matthias Tem, well, he's certainly been throwing his hat and his Mercedes into the ring. There you go, Don Brennan. This guy was just slipping up his inside into the top 10. Nils Kaur, after the back of his race victory, not quite having that same fortune here. Just, I think, caught in no man's land. The slipstream is keeping the cars ahead of him in step with one another. That's stopping him from really making any sort of inroads. And Jake Cranstone, we haven't seen too much of him battling thus far. He's gained a couple more positions from obviously the ones that he lost earlier on in the race, but not necessarily a race that he was hoping for. So Taylor Adams, even though he's in 4th place, still extending his advantage just a little bit in this championship fight.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because again, any one of these drivers could just have one good race and it, leap them forward into the championship lead. It's Taylor Adams and Lewis Ward tied on 74 points at the moment. Jake Cranstone's on 64 and Arthur Thurtle is on 63. So Arthur isn't out of the woods either when it comes to other drivers behind him, because even then it's Nils Kaur, Matthias Pentela and Ben Idris Abdullahi all within 10 points. So it's mighty, mighty close. In terms of the top 9 are all within 20 points of each other at the minute, which is just bonkers, and they're all within about a second of each other on the circuit as well. So it definitely has been the closest series we've had so far. Is Abdullahi? I nearly called him Ibdallahi, no, rather than Abdullahi. He's just absolutely swung it around the outside of Matt Slight and again into the right-hander. That was beautiful, very committed from the Frenchman, really well done. And now he's going to be hoping that he can use the grunt, the straight line speed and the top end of that BMW to go chasing after that Mercedes up the road. Lewis Ward doing a good job of managing the pace at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing a great job, but been helped out, I think, Lewis Ward, by the actions of Ben Idris Abdullahi. But now, Ben, he's going to be hunting down his 2nd race victory of the season. All while, again, are we going to have 7 from 7 with Lewis Ward?
We've never had that. I don't ever think we've had 7 race winners in a season of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. I'd have to have a look back, but I doubt we've had that before. I know we've had seasons where we've only had like 3 race winners, but yeah, I doubt we've ever had 7.
We're on a shorter season as well, aren't we, Chaz? I think we're sort of truncating a little bit to compact a lot of the racing, and still the competitiveness of this championship, well, just keeps going from strength to strength. Matthias Tem, he's certainly been strong so far this race. Had that slowdown which put him down and out of the fight potentially for a podium. However, when you're in this train, anything can happen. Matt Slight's just gotten ahead of Ben Idris Abdullahi. The pair of them might be battling side by side in towards the chicane. Top of the hill. I think Matt Slight ahead of Ben Idris Abdullahi. The pair of them all sort of slingshotting past one another in an attempt to close the gap to Lewis Ward, but not really working out because Lewis is managing this pace pretty nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing a wonderful, wonderful job at this present moment. It seems nice and tidy. Just looking back through as, Nils Kaur loses a couple of places. I think something's just happened here. Guy Edwards has just gotten through, gone round the outside at Brochet. Nils tries to cut back underneath him though. Can he get it done? Oh, dearie me. Guy cuts way back over to the left. Nils can't come all the way back over because suddenly Dominic Brennan's there. He's quick on the button flash as Adam Watson goes down the inside of Dom Brennan now as well. He's surrounded by BMWs. He can't see where he's going. Gives a little kiss to the back of Nils Kaur's car, I believe. Now tries to get in nice and close as Dom Brennan retakes that inside line. Oh, and Dom squeezed to the apex I think Nils just squeezed him a little bit too far to the inside there, and Dom will be fuming with that one. The battles continue on further up as well, as Arthur Thurtle's got Matthias Tem right up behind him. It all got a little bit messy there for a moment, didn't it, Ed?
Yeah, just a touch. Not what we want to see. But maybe they're just, figuring each other out a little bit. But this was the incident, and Don Brennan. Again, it's just a little hit from the front to the rear, and it's the car behind that actually comes worse off.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Very, very weird. This is how it all started. Nils Core and Guy Edwards together, very close to each other into the chicane. Guy round the outside. Nils just about giving the room to the left-hander, and then gets a similar return favour. Look at Don Brennan get the run there. That just shows you physically how much space and speed you lose battling so closely. The two of them were side by side, and big slide by Nils. Guy just about cuts back in front. Nils tries to get him, and then look, Guy runs wide. I think he's hoping that the car doesn't slide and just kisses the BMW. And then watch this now as Adam gets in the mix as well. He gets down the inside of Dominic Brennan, sees a gap, says thanks very much, gives a little tap to the side of the M4, and then a little tap to the other one as well, sucks in all the hot air from Nils Core's car. I think Dom tries to go back down the inside here and just has to slam on because of Nils, and then it just unsettles him enough and he bounces off the side of Adam. Big shame.
Big shame. Big consequences there for Brennan, who's also just completely out of the race, I think, because he had to just take a trip to the pits, and that's his race over and done with. So it's Tem, slowly but surely reclaiming those places that he lost out on as a result of the slowdown. Just got now Taylor Adams, Benedict Abdullahi, Matt Slight to get through before he can focus on Lewis Ward. But Lewis, again, managing this race pretty well. We've got just under half the race remaining, and he's kept that gap at around about 1.5 seconds. I think obviously helped by Matt Slight and Benedict Abdullahi's own little squabbles, but still, nevertheless, it's been a pretty well managed race so far.
It absolutely has. Just looking at the race winners we've had in previous seasons, and the most we've ever had is 5. In Season 1 and in Season 5, we had 5 race winners. Season 3, we only had 3 winners, and since then it's just been getting more and more. So already this season, it is the most amount of winners we've had in one season, and there's been 1 per race so far in Season 6 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge.
As well, both Lewis Ward and Matt Slight yet to win a race this season.
Yeah.
Matt Slight could get on to the top step yet, because he's obviously got Benedict Abdullahi for company, but if those two settle their differences and try and work together, that gap will certainly come down over the next 12.5 minutes.
And this will be Matt's best result of the season by some margin, especially if he even just finishes behind where he is now, because Matt Slight down in 15th in the championship. His best result so far this season is 7th place. He's at a 7th and 8th and a 10th. Other than that, he's at a 13th, a 24th and a 31st. So it just seems weird for Matt Slight to not be on the scorecard in such a way.
Yeah, that's certainly not what we're used to seeing.
He could have fooled me. I'm sure he's had good results.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought as well. That's certainly not what we're used to seeing, but we'll have to find out if tonight will be Matt Slight's night. So on board with the Finn, number 7, Matthias Ventola in 7th place. He's going to actually push along. Is this going to actually work out? It's giving him a great little boost up the inside.
I'm just waiting for there to be a car crashing somewhere. I can't see.
Going to try and take advantage. He's not going to take advantage of himself, but he did help out massively there. Taylor Adams in getting ahead. Not Taylor Adams, sorry, Arthur Thurtle of getting ahead, sorry, of Taylor Adams. And now Matthias makes his own benefit through Brousset. Wonderful little bit of teamwork, even though, hell,
4 different teams.
Completely different teams.
Yeah.
It's just what you've got to do in the races, isn't it? You've got to be smart and just choose which outcome is sort of best going to help you.
Yeah, that was crazy. Crazy.
Selfishly selfless.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful racing, though, by all those guys there. Really close together. Managed to keep it nice and tidy. We look back here at the aforementioned Matt Slight in the McLaren, as there was a bit of drama in the background there. I think Jake Cranstone tried to avoid an incident, and the two of them nearly got together. But Matt Slight holding on well at the minute. 3 different manufacturers and 3 different teams in the top podium spots. Lewis Ward in the Team 11 Mercedes leading the Regenta Sim Racing McLaren that we ride on board with now, and then the Satellite Racing BMW of Ben Idris Abdullahi in the background. I'm so sorry, Ben, I can't get your name right tonight. Just 10 minutes left of the race to go here at Spa-Francorchamps. This is round 7 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. You're listening to Chaz Draycott and Ed May. Flipping out. Sorry, I can't get anyone's name right tonight. I'll give
We've only been working together for a good few years now, Chaz.
The worst thing though, my good friend Jack Stiles stood in for, I can't remember what event it was, Ed, but he stood in for a one-off event a while ago, and because I was so used to finishing or referencing the other commentator and saying, he's good at that, isn't he, Ed? You know, I called Jack Ed on 3 different occasions in one race, the poor sod. It happens.
I would say there's worse people to be likened to, but none are coming to mind right now. Lewis Ward, Matt Slight, Ben Idris Abdullahi, those are our front 3, and Lewis Ward for the next 10 minutes is going to have to manage that gap in behind, because I think Matt has broken away a touch from the BMW in behind. The gap is starting to open out, which is obviously great news for Lewis and Matt. They don't need to worry too much about a threat in behind. Actually, as well, Matthias Tem has broken away from the chase pack in behind. I think they're all now starting to squabble with Arthur Thurtle.
Yeah, Arthur's had a very busy race. He's gained 3 places as Jake Cranstone.
That was ambitious.
Yeah. We've seen Jake do that every so often, but it's usually in a lot more of a calculated way. That seemed, I don't want to say desperate, but that just seemed a little bit out of character for Jake. That he's maybe a little bit on the ropes tonight. He feels like he's not quite putting in his usual performances. We've been praising him a lot still, but yeah, it's not a Jake Cranstone-esque night this so far for him. He's got Adam Watson and Guy Edwards in behind him as there's contact with Nils Kors side by side between the 2 previous champions. The latest 2 champions as well, right with each other. Jake somehow slides the tiny little Porsche down the inside of the BMW. They remain side by side ever further. Adam Watson's just trying to find a gap here around Guy Edwards, who is the closest to all of this. Jake's got a run, I think. He might make this work around the outside. We'll have to wait and see. Can he get that one to work up towards Blanchemont? Yes, he can. Guy Edwards now squeezing through as well. This is really scary stuff. Nils does not want to give anyone an inch here. Moving around quite a bit on the road as well. Not sure if he's slightly distracted. Goodness me. Guy Edwards cuts in front. Adam Watson now goes through. God, Nils is just dropping places, but this is heart in your mouth stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, this is just everywhere you look, they're all just chopping and changing and darting around left to right. Adam Watson, what a race he's had though, recovering up into now just about 10th place, up 12 places. The only driver that's gained a similar amount to him is John Bailiff, who's got 9 places gained. Let's say that Adam Watson drops down now as the inside returns Nils Kors to that 10th place.
Oh, Adam gets a lovely run though.
I was going to say Nils has returned back to the place he started with, one of the only drivers on the grid to be in the same place he started, but no. And now they're going to try and fit side by side. No, they organise it between themselves, but now look at this. It is an altitude, well, pylon onto Nils Kors.
It is a satellite sandwich with altitude 3M Esports flavoured bread. And I really don't know where Nils wants to go here. He's getting very close to these guys on many occasions here, and he's really playing with fire, it has to be said, because Tim Perry and Adam Watson are not drivers to back out either. This is a immovable force. No, what is it? Oh, God, of course. Yeah, the immovable force and the unstoppable object or something. No, this is the unstoppable force against the immovable object, isn't it, with these guys?
Yeah, it feels almost like they're trying to cage him in, and it's almost like Mills is like a little trapped animal just trying to lash out and finding any route to escape. And I don't know, is it going to maybe be a case of the desperation for Nils Kors that he wants to get out of this situation, that there could be an accident? We'll have to see. But so far, it's started to calm down a touch as they've got on to sort of the second half of lap. Meanwhile, well, this doesn't show any signs of calming down, does it? You've got Eric Manenveld leading the way.
It's another similar situation, actually. Sorry, Ed, but it's the two win it up in it cars with poor Christopher Smith sandwiched between them as well. So now he's sat in the middle, trying to figure out what these two teammates are doing to work with each other. The only thing I have to say is that those green wheels on the win it up in it cars are god awful, and I really hope that they change them at some point in the future. As Stephen Codman says, "Oh, look at that gravel trap! I've got nice black wheels on my car. They blend in with the pavement."
Don't ask them to change it, because if you don't like the green, it's going to go pink.
Yeah, it's going to go pink. Yeah, that's true. I love the green wheels, boys. Keep them. Oh, they're absolutely blend in with the blue and red so well. You know, blue, red, and green, such a fantastic combination. I don't know why nobody else has thought of it. Look at this, Christopher Smith round the outside into the bus stop. That's an inspired bit of braking. Nice and late. What's Eric going to do? He's going to try and squeeze him to the apex. I think he got away with it. Flipping it, close stuff with just under 5 minutes left on the clock here at Spa-Francorchamps. You don't need to move over to the right, Chris. Chris, you all know that you go over to the left there. Come on. Flipping heck. These lot are trying to give me an aneurysm. Right, back to the front. This is nice and calm. I'm just going to breathe for a minute. Listen to this. Lovely Mercedes. Lewis Ward. No one anywhere near him. Well, I'll say that.
Second back and gaining every lap. That slight is certainly, well,
not gone.
That's looming larger each and every time they come across the line.
Absolutely.
Looming large actually in the rearview mirrors of Ben Idris Abdullahi, chasing down what would be his second podium of this season. Podium on debut at Sebring. Seeing if he can make a trip to the podium once more, this time here at Spa. I think actually it's going to be, I think, the closest race formatized to be a home race here tonight.
Yeah, probably. As two teammates make contact with each other. John Bailiff and Eric Manenveld. These boys are always quite feisty. I think they're arguing over whether metallic green wheels are better than powder-coated glossy wheels. As Christopher Smith and everybody in the background moving around, all of them trying it. Christopher Rowe and Dennis Van Beelen, teammates of Chicane Online Racing. They've been a little bit under the radar so far in this race and in this season, to be honest. The guys are very, very quick, very talented drivers, but just with the level we're at this season, they've fallen under the radar a little bit. They try and push on just inside the top 20 positions now. 3 minutes left to go. And where is Lewis Ward on the circuit? I think we're going to have the same that we had in race one here, Ed, where we're going to have about 10 seconds left by the time they cross the line.
Maybe not 10, maybe a little bit less, but it's certainly going to be close. I'll tell you what, though, Lewis has definitely been making me eat the words that I was saying at the start of this race, that he didn't necessarily have that same level of speed and pace that we've seen from him in races gone by. And especially actually earlier tonight, he just didn't seem to have that same spark that we're used to seeing from Lewis. But at least in this race now, he's definitely unlocked a little bit more, hasn't he, Chaz? And maybe that could be a promising sign of a bit more confidence for Lewis Ward. I think that's been an issue, that he's just been lacking that little bit extra. But now, if he can get this over the line, could be a very important mark for the remainder of the season. He's certainly not been lacking for consistency. That's obviously the reason why he's currently, well, tied for the championship lead, if our point sheet is at least provisionally correct as it stands. I can't get over the fact that we could be on track for back-to-back first-time race victors.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? 7 winners in 7 races, as round the outside goes Matthias Tem. Lovely move, well choreographed. Ben Idris Abdullahi gave him plenty of room to get it done on the straight. That was nice racing. That's exactly what we love to see. Tim Perry and Nils Kor are getting friendlier and friendlier with each other as there's a little bit of contact through Licom. Into Malmedy they go. Nils tries to swoop around the outside, does so only just on the limit in the BMW. Not much room to do with that with. Eric Manenveld's got the gang still chasing him down in the background. It's a shame that this will be not for points, unfortunately. We've had similar feedback from Interlagos as well, that these guys are having an epic scrap, but it's all for naught. I understand it's my mistake, though, and I will own that. A big shout out, by the way, to Orris Analytics and Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Thank you very much to the sponsors of the sim racing magazine GT4 Challenge. Seemingly 1 lap left to go here at Spa in round number 7 of this season. and we've had a brilliant race on our hands once again. The level just throws everything up at us, doesn't it, Ed? We never know who's going to be able to win a race, and it could be anybody in the top 15 or 20 every single week.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the Sim Race Magazine GT4 Challenge. Every single time we come here, there's another driver that appears to be on form. And now it seems to be Lewis Ward, who is that driver. Both him and also, to give Niels Core his credit for earlier on in the race, have been certainly very stellar at navigating the sort of little sprint strategies that you have to formulate, don't you? Of where you position your car, when you decide to go for the battles, when you decide to leave off, where if you see a battle ahead of you, where you position your car to try and take advantage and gain a it's almost invert commas free position. They've been really quite smart about it. And I mean, Lewis Ward, the effort he put in for that first race to get the favourable reverse grid certainly should not be understated, because that was impressive as well in its own right. There's a little bit of impressive action. There's Van Beelen around the outside to then get the inside. A little bit of paint swapping between the Aston and the McLaren, but all get through relatively unscathed. Good little bit of racing that was.
Yeah, nice stuff that. Door to door, but all above board as we ride on board with Matthias Tem, heading down towards Le Combe, weaving to try and upset the slipstream that he would give to Ben Idris Abdullahi. Had a really good final sector on that previous lap as, wow, Ben goes as late as he dares on the brakes, glances near the back of the Mercedes, but Matthias holding on for now. Matt Slight only 7/10 of a second behind our race leader Lewis Ward. Matt is pushing and pushing and pushing. It always sounds so much more urgent in the McLaren. It's so strange, but yeah, it always just seems like a car that when you're on board with it, it feels faster and more agile than everything else, doesn't it?
Yeah, as we go now down to double gauche, the double left looks pretty good actually from Matt Slight. He might have been looking after his tyres a touch, because he's getting the attitude of the turn-in pretty nice even after 30 minutes worth of racing. If you can get close to Lewis, maybe about half a second as they come off of these double right-handers, could be within a slim shot, but still a shot nevertheless. Either way, we will have a new race victor, if it is Matt Slight or if it is Lewis Ward. Take the top step, but I think with that beautiful run, it's going to be all Lewis Ward.
Absolutely is. We've had 6 race winners so far this season in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. Only once before in an entire season have we ever had 5. We may have had 6 winners, but we've only had 6 races. It has really been an absolute blockbuster season so far. And Lewis Ward, double champion in season 2 and 3, is about to add to that tally of winners. He rounds the final corner at Spa-Francorchamps and takes victory in round number 7 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, ahead of Matt Slight, Matthias Tem on the podium, Ben Idris Abdullahi 4th, Matthias Penteler next up, with Arthur Thurtle and Jake Cranstone behind, Guy Edwards, Taylor Adams, Adam Watson and Niels Core with Tim Perry the final point scorers. And then this epic battle in the background, Eric Manintveld ahead of his teammate John Bailiff. Great drive that by John. Christopher Smith 15th, Dennis Van Beelen 16th, Stephen Cobham 17th, Christopher Rowe finishing 18th. PJ Clyson's next up. He'll be fuming after the contact earlier on with Taylor Adams. Taylor eventually finishing in 9th place. Stephen Burns 20th ahead of John Roberts, Mark Johnson, Kim Such, Heinz Mayer and Simon Price. Welcome back to the top step though, Lewis Ward. It feels like a long time since we've seen that as well. It's interesting, isn't it, Ed? On a night like tonight, we get 2 ex-champions taking their first wins of the season in rounds 6 and 7. Just shows you again, the level is just incredible.
Speaking of the champions and the championship, big win for Lewis Ward when you consider Taylor Adams 9th, Jake Cranstone, the driver in 3rd in the championship, only mustered a 7th. That's really, really big for the championship for Lewis Ward, and could put him in a very comfortable position as we depart Spa and head towards Imola for what would be the final sprint, or not final sprint, the final endurance style round of the season.
Yeah, absolutely will be. We have the feature race results in, as the 2 Orris cars, I believe, make their way up in flying formation up Eau Rouge. Lewis Ward takes the win in round number 7 with Matt Slight in 2nd place, Matthias Tem takes another podium in third ahead of Ben Idris Abdullahi. Not a bad night that for Ben. I think that's 2 fourth places from him, is it not? Yes, it is. He is ahead of Matthias Pentila. Finished second in the first race ahead of Arthur Thurtle, Jake Cranstone, Guy Edwards, Taylor Adams and Adam Watson. A top 10 after starting down in 24th on the grid is just a phenomenal effort. Very well done, Adam. Nils Cole was next up ahead of Tim Perry, with Eric Manintveld in 13th, John Bailiff in 14th. A great battle was had by those guys and all their teammates. Then it was Christopher Smith and Dennis Van Beelen ahead of Stephen Codman and Christopher Rowe. PJ Clyson's eventually 19th, Stephen Burns 20th, John Roberts 21st. Mark Johnson behind him in 22nd after his incident. Kim Such and Heinz Mayer battle at home until they finish 23rd and 24th. Simon Price, the final car in the lead lap. Dominic Brennan and Ben Chalcraft are the 2 cars out of the race. That is not good viewing for team boss of Spontex CDM Esports. I really hope that whoever they may be, they are all right. Still, a very busy and entertaining night for us, Ed, here at Spa, and we did wonder whether the sprint racing would work here tonight, and I mean, I don't mean to sound too big-headed, but I think that was all right, don't you?
Yeah, I think that was definitely a roaring success from Spa. Definitely put some cats amongst the pigeons, especially for the championship as well, and to see 2 new race victors, at least for this season, obviously familiar returnees to that top step, multiple race winner and also multiple champion Lewis Ward, and then also multiple race winner and former champion Niels Court getting to the top spot, means that that's been a substantial night in terms of, well, where the championship could be heading.
Absolutely is, and it was great to see this man up in the sharp end of the order as well. Once again, Matt Slight. Matt, you've had a bit of a topsy-turvy season so far. I mean, before tonight, your best result was just a 7th place. You must be really pleased to have finally gotten a podium to at least bolster your point score here.
Oh yeah, I'm buzzing with that one. I think after many, as what you've described it as, many Matt Slight races.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, it was finally good to have a race that could show what I'm actually capable of, being at the front, pushing Lewis. It was a really good race.
And what did you think coming here tonight to do sprint racing at Spa? I mean, it's usually the place where, it's home of endurance racing. You see a lot of longer races here, even in this series as well. But to come here sprint racing, what was the mindset like ahead of this?
I think it's no secret that Taylor and I prefer, an endurance race with the element of the fuel save. And obviously with Spa being, an amazing track that was always going to produce some good racing, I was very grateful of the waft the McLaren had off of the first hairpin and going up the hill. I think that obviously helped quite a bit. It was good racing all night really.
Well, it certainly looked like a lot of fun, and obviously the cars themselves seemed quite well matched. There was a different part of the circuit where each car had its own strengths. Did you feel like that from the cockpit?
Oh no, definitely. It was. I did a little bit of testing yesterday, and I jumped in the Merc to see, the differences. And basically, the Merc just had a lot more turning on the sort of middle part of the track, whereas the McLaren just had so much more of an advantage on the straight bits. So over the course of a lap, it obviously equaled out quite a bit. So it was really equal between a lot of the cars.
Well, it was great to see you have the points from tonight, mate. It was great to finally see that because, we don't have bias in the series, but we like everybody so much. We want everyone to have at least one good night in a season, and we were wondering when yours might come around. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to before we let you go?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to obviously Taylor. He was coming in leading the championship. I'm not sure where he is now. But obviously we both help each other out in terms of practicing and everything. So shout out to Taylor. And anybody supporting the Regenta team, sim racing team tonight.
Well, it's great to see, Matt. Love to hear it, and thanks very much for joining us in the box, mate. Wish you all the best, and we'll speak to you next time.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Bye.
Matt Slight, clearly very happy with that one tonight, and I mean, unsurprising, like we've just alluded to, Ed. He's had a bit of an upside-down season, really, with a 7th before tonight, a 10th, but that 31st place, a 24th and a 13th, it really had him on the back foot in the opening rounds, so that's going to bolster his points nicely ahead of the next round.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him finishing inside the top 10 before the end of the season, but it's not been quite the season that Matt Slight was hoping for, but still great to see him in high spirits and see if that could be a sign of things to come for the remaining few races of the season.
Definitely. We have another driver in the box with us now, and he finished that one in 11th position, which is not what we're used to seeing, especially after a race win in the first race. Nils, congratulations on your first win in what feels like a while to us. It seems strange to have not called you winning already this season, but yeah, it's a bit of a difficult night, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. The first one was obviously really nice. Had a really great fight with Matthias and was able to get the win there and felt fairly confident going to the second race, obviously. But yeah, the second race, I had a pretty good start, but then every time I tried to overtake just a single car, I ended up losing 2 positions. So I quickly dropped from like 8th to 11th and couldn't really get back.
Yeah, it looked like quite a difficult one for that this evening because there were a few packs amongst each of the races, and I mean it was great close racing, it was lovely to watch, but I do imagine it was quite frustrating because, like you say, as soon as you step out of that train around here, you just get swallowed up, don't you?
Yeah, especially I was having with this car, I already had quite some issues at Donington with the hairpins, and it's not any better really in the bus stop and turn 1 here.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Which is quite an issue, obviously, in turn 1 to get a good exit. And then also the gearing is a bit wrong for Radion. So I have to shift up to 6th gear. Although that's pretty much too low revs going up the hill.
Ah, right.
So
yeah.
I'm always really, really slow coming onto Camel. But then before the bus stop on the straight, the car is a complete rocket ship. So that's kind of the only thing that saved me also in the first race.
Yeah, it was a very, very interesting situation to watch with the certain strengths and weaknesses of the cars. Like we said to Matt Slight just a moment ago, it's always interesting to see the matchup in GT4. It's a fantastic balance of performance, but yeah, certainly made for interesting viewing. What are your thoughts for the next couple of rounds then this season? We've got obviously 1 endurance race to go and then 2 more sprints. Are you feeling confident for those now you've got that win under your belt this season?
Oh, I'm just gonna go in them with no big expectations, just gonna try to have some fun and yeah, see how it goes.
Well, we look forward to seeing it, Nils, as always. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, as usual, big shout out to Satellite Racing, our sponsors, and also to my teammate Ben, who did another great job today.
Well, thanks very much for joining us once again, Nils. It's always a pleasure, and we hopefully will speak to you again very soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. See ya.
Well, Nils Core, it's a bit of a conflicted night for him, really, isn't it? Taking a race victory, but then feeling like you're just going backwards in race 2. I can imagine there's a bit of frustration there ahead of the next round. Even Ed's speechless over it as well. He can't quite get it together.
As I was drinking, but yeah, it's all about what I was trying to say. It's about focusing on the positives rather than the negatives going into sort of the tail end of a season. Obviously, he's got the back off, sort of what they call the monkey off the back, isn't it, of getting that race victory that's been eluding him so far this season, finally on the board. And he's going to try and channel that into the races at Imola and Nürburgring.
Yeah, interesting indeed. It'll be a very sudden end to the season. It's going to creep up on us mighty quickly. But a very positive night, I'd say. Some great sprint racing tonight here at Spa-Francorchamps. It's not usually a combination you'd see. But Nils Core and Lewis Ward, previous champions of the SRM GT4 Challenge, both take their first wins of the season and make it 7 drivers winning from 7 races. What a season we're having. It'll be finished before we know it, though, with just 2 race meetings left to go. Thanks as always to Orris Analytics and Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Sim Racing Magazine. It's a wonderful season so far, and we look forward to completing it with everyone involved. Thanks very much, Ed, as well, and for all the drivers for putting on a great show. We've been the SRM GT4 Challenge here on Chaz Draycott Media, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Have a good night.